And how would you react when if you had the situation, maybe if your child wanted to eat something processed or industrial, some food? Did you allow them or not?
No, many years ago when they were little, I didn't allow them to. They were with me a good part of the time, and I was the center of their universe, and they believed what I told them.
Mm-hmm.
And I would bring great tasty treats with me. You know, today there are many books out on raw food recipes. We didn't have those 17 years ago when I was just starting this. But I did create recipes, and we created recipes together. We had what we called natural food restaurants or raw food restaurants, and the children learned very young. My son was only 3 years old when he was up at the counter with me, creating all kinds of recipes from all different kinds of salads and dressings and wraps using nori seaweed and cabbage leaves and romaine lettuce as wraps. And we would make veggies and nut and seed pâtés to wrap inside them. We would make guacamole with avocados, tomatoes, cilantro, little onion. We made coleslaws with cabbage, and we would use red cabbage and green cabbage and avocado and tomato and some sun-dried tomato and lemon and red pepper, and mix that all up together, and it was a beautiful coleslaw. So they learned how to make all of these things and serve them to my husband and I, and we would actually make fun with it. We would at the beginning give them play money, and later on as they got older, we would actually pay them to make these meals for us. So it was a lot of fun for them, and they still remember that, and they got very creative with all of their recipes, and I highly recommend that parents focus on getting their children involved. Have a garden, get your children outside and helping you in the garden. Go and volunteer for farmers. We can go into local organic farmers and get involved that way so the children see where their food is coming from.
Mm-hmm.
And these were all very important. However, later on, when my children were adolescent and teenager, I continued to prepare foods for parties, also to fill them up a bit before they went to a party so that they wouldn't be that hungry there.
Mm-hmm.
And also sometimes to focus on giving them something special that they really like a special book or a game that didn't have anything to do with food, as kind of like a little gift when they went to the party, so that they wouldn't mind not eating the processed and refined foods that were at the party. But as they did get older, it did get more difficult because they wanted to fit in with their peers, and at a certain point, I had to realize that it was damaging my relationship with them to keep them sticking with whole plant foods all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so I did give in, and they both started eating many other foods. They remained vegetarian because they believed in it for moral reasons, but they started to eat more refined and processed foods. And my daughter came back to the whole plant lifestyle just a couple of years ago, and I'm very happy about that.
Yeah. What about vitamin B12? How can a family provide a sufficient amount of vitamin B12 for the children?
Well, I do believe that in many areas that our soil is depleted, and we all have certain stresses in our lives, and I do believe that we cannot always control that. We have toxins in the environment that even if we're eating an excellent plant-based diet, that we may need extra B12, and I do recommend supplementation. But I recommend it in the form of methylcobalamin, which I feel is the best form of B12, and very easy to obtain that. I know that Hippocrates Health Institute in Florida, I believe that they sell a good B12 supplement. The Tree of Life by Dr. Gabriel Cousins in Arizona, they have a good B12 supplement. So I do believe in supplementations. I also think that some of the green powders have some natural B12 in those powders. In my book, Creating Healthy Children, there was a very large section on the question of whether to supplement. And I offer the pros and the cons of supplementation, and then people can decide what is best for them.
Mm-hmm.
But I do recommend that women during pregnancy that they supplement. And if they're choosing not to supplement, they really must go for blood tests to make sure that, and the urine test also, to make sure that they have good levels of B12. This is very important during pregnancy.
But what about after having a diet changed? Have you spent more time in the kitchen at first? How did you simplify the preparation of food for the whole family?
Yes, at the beginning I spent a long time in the kitchen, probably just as much time as I had spent cooking foods, because before that I really loved to prepare big meals, and I did a lot of cooking at the stove. But after giving up the stove, I went to the dehydrator, and I got a big dehydrator, and I still have it, but I don't use it very much anymore. At the beginning, I think it's a great transitional tool for families. There was one dehydrator called the Excalibur, which has 12 trays, and you can fill that up and make veggie burgers and pancakes, and you can really create raw food that tastes just like cooked food. And that's what I did at the beginning. However, everything was dehydrated, and so I was not getting the water content that was necessary, and neither were my children. We did have fruit, we did have smoothies, we did have salads, but we also had a lot of dehydrated food. And over the years, being raw, my children really never liked the dehydrated food that much. They somehow, by their own intuition, they knew that it didn't feel right to eat all this food that was dried. And so we switched to having more of the food just in the simple form. So really, most of our diet became green juices in the morning, or green smoothies. And my daughter loved a green juice with kale, cucumber, lots of celery, lemon, and a little bit of apple. Or we made all different kinds of green smoothies. They love a smoothie called the pina colada smoothie, with a lot of spinach and pineapple, banana, and water. My son always loved a smoothie with mango, banana, orange juice, fresh orange juice that I would squeeze separately, and strawberries and water. He was not so much big on green smoothies, but he had a lot of green juices. And that, as I said, was a great way for him to detoxify during the time that he was healing from the asthma.
I also read that you love traveling with your family. How is with preparation of food while traveling and eating when you are traveling?
Well, it's amazing. Everywhere we went, we found raw food. It's like when you're looking for it, it's not that hard to find. Well, when we travel to Central and South America, we are like kings and queens, because the raw food down there is so plentiful. The fresh fruit, the papayas, the mangoes, and many kinds of delicious exotic fruits like the Annona family. I love cherimoya, and Mame is so delicious. And so that's very plentiful down there. My husband is half Colombian and half Swiss. So we go back and forth to visit family in Colombia and in Switzerland. And when we were in Switzerland, our family had lots of fruits and vegetables for us available. And in Switzerland, they have huge gardens. So we had the most wonderful, fresh, green leafy vegetables. We had huge salads every night. And the family who we stayed with, they eat a lot of that food also. Mm-hmm. So it was not really that hard getting that food. Uh-huh. And sometimes my daughter and I travel together now, and we're also able to get fruits and vegetables wherever we go. And as I said, in the southern, more subtropical climates, it's very easy. But even in in countries of Europe, we were able to get plenty of fresh fruit and plenty of green leafy vegetables. And when we stayed with family, it was very easy because they all had these wonderful gardens. So it was great. And we eat a lot of salads. My daughter still loves wraps. She grew up on these wraps, so we always have veggies and avocado and scallions, and we stuff it in wraps. Or we have some kind of a nut pate, which is made with nuts or seeds. I love pumpkin seeds. They're very alkaline forming, so I make a lot of pâtés with pumpkin seeds, and then I put it in a cabbage leaf, or I put it in a romaine leaf, or a collard green leaf, and those are really delicious.
And then sometimes we still make a little dehydrated food, and that just, adds a little bit of taste and crunch. But most of our food is fresh and completely unprocessed.